And the more issue we feel from this gap, the more we look outwards to see what others are doing, so we can see what we might be doing wrong, without realizing that this looking outwards has gone from being part of the survival solution to being part of the problem. On Stories of Self, we go on journeys into the lives of ourselves and others. We see how stories connect, how they diverge, and how we can create our worlds and solve our problems. This is the real-life remix of storytelling, which is so often stranger than fiction. So come and sit around the fire, chill by the ocean, or get a coffee with me, as I delve into the stories of self that make, break, and remake us. Some stories are dramatic, some are serene, some will magically mirror you, and some will be delightfully different. I'm your host, Katie Reeve Arnold, and this is Stories of Self. This week, I've been really noticing the fluctuation of the creative process. I'm currently writing books, and I've laid out roughly a trilogy and prequel with a storyline that's evolving in complexity as I write, in ways that sometimes make me want to jump up and down with joy in how it's coming together. But in other times, I look at it and I think, eesh, who's going to want to read anything I write? But that's the creative process. You've probably seen the diagrams that go from, I can't do this, through, oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this, through, this is awesome and I'm awesome, to, this is terrible and I'm terrible, back to, actually, this is okay, and I think this just might be awesome, to finally, this is awesome. It's a roller coaster. And actually, any process that is creative can also take a similar path. Whether it's writing a book, painting, creating a course, or setting up a new element of your life or work. Anything where we pull something from our imagination into reality is creative. Whether it's creating a backpacking trip or a family holiday, changes in what we offer in our businesses, building or remodeling our home, or what we make from our school, home, or work life. We are creating all the time. So we are all dealing with this roller coaster of how we feel about what we are creating. But this roller coaster gives us moments to pause, moments to push through, moments to change, moments to choose, and moments to stand in what we are creating and becoming. I heard a great phrase this week. It's a common one. Don't waste my time. But what if we didn't say it to others, but rather to ourselves? What if we promised ourselves we wouldn't waste our time? This doesn't mean hustle and work 24/7. This is absolutely not the point of life. What you do and how you support yourself is a part of life, but it's not all of life. It doesn't mean all rest, and it doesn't mean all work, and it doesn't mean all play. It means a chosen balance between all elements of life. It doesn't mean all family time, or all relationship time, or all time with friends. And it doesn't mean all alone time. One of the best ways I have found to support myself with that phrase, don't waste my time, is to be very much in choice about what I focus on, and to notice when I am not. It is not about berating myself or putting myself down when I flex from the chosen paths, but having some compassion. Why am I not sticking with what I chose? And I always find the reason is there, even when it might not seem obvious. For example, have I stopped writing and put on a movie because I don't feel well? Is it because I am tired? Did I do it because I'm frightened about getting it wrong, maybe? Understanding the reason why I do something that seems against my choices, my wants, my needs, can really help to not just get back on track, but to actually have a better experience and make more balanced choices. And actively choosing this process of noticing and having compassion for myself, which leads to understanding of why I do things, has actually been an integral part of the path to jumping into chosen change, which we talked about in episode 5 of Stories of Self. Because the more I participate in that process of self-understanding, the quicker it has become, the more intuitive it has become. So now, even before I stop writing to put on a movie, I can already notice the desire to do so, and, with compassion, understand where it's coming from. Then I can act in choice based on that. In this, all has become easier. Easier to stop writing and put on a movie if that is the right choice for me, and to be fully in that and enjoying it as it is. Or easier to be with the desire to stop writing and put on a movie, but not do it, if that is the right choice for me. Asking myself, is it a soul desire that has real roots in love and self-love, or is it an ego desire that is led by fear, running away or hiding from something to try to be safe? And understanding either with compassion. And this process has really supported me to move to jumping into chosen change, where the choice is still there, but the effort needed to maintain it is less or even none, because that is just who I am now. What I am saying is that I recognize understanding myself truly as a key element to being able to step or jump into being who I choose to be. One of the most potent potions you can give yourself is to focus on yourself. This isn't advocating for selfishness. It's more about loving yourself enough to make the time to focus on you and what you want to do or be. It's about not becoming distracted with what other people are doing. So they are doing something differently to you. Good. There are a lot of things in the world to do, and no one person can do all of them in all the ways. So they are doing the same thing as you. Good. There are a lot of different people in the world, and so no one approach will appeal to all of them, and that is okay. Also, no two people will do the same thing in exactly the same way. It's about spending our lives and our time on telling our own story, and weaving that with the stories of others without our greater focus becoming their stories instead of our own. In this, we actually set them free and allow them to create and have their own story too. But why do we fixate on the lives of others rather than on our own? Well, this goes back to how we grew and succeeded as a species, what was beneficial for us in the past. But leaning into the idea of self-understanding and developing capacity to jump into chosen change, it doesn't have to be something we keep doing in the exact same way if it no longer is beneficial to us. We can choose differently. So the reason we look to others, compare ourselves to others, talk about others, gossip, have reality TV and celebrity magazines and talk shows is actually rooted all in the same thing. Something that increased our chances of survival, so it was heavily selected for. In seeing where others went right or wrong, then we could make better choices for ourselves. If Bob ate a new fruit never seen before and felt great afterwards, then I would try it. But if Bob felt ill afterwards or even died, then I wouldn't try it. Makes sense, right? Watching Bob test something I didn't know meant I was more likely to survive my choices regarding it. Similarly, with relationships, as human society grew more complex, watching others manage their interactions and get them right or wrong could advise me on how to manage mine, on what to do and what not to do. The survival and success of this strategy was so positively impactful on the lives of those who undertook it that it became deeply ingrained. In fact, the very reason we tell stories is to share knowledge and wisdom and ideas from person to person, place to place, group to group, and generation to generation. But this is where the element of balance comes in again. Because when we are imbalanced and only looking outwards for advice on how to live and what to do to be successful, then we disconnect from ourselves, from who we are. And the story we tell then might be outwardly successful, but if it doesn't connect with and express who we are, then we will feel hollow. No matter how outwardly successful we are, we will feel the gap between who we authentically are and who we are being, i.e., what we are expressing. And we will feel this gap as pain, lack, frustration, a feeling of being lost, and a range of other things we might find difficult to pinpoint, and that can vary from person to person. This gap creates a discontent that we can find difficult to label and that can range from slight to severe, acute to chronic. And the more issue we feel from this gap, the more we look outwards to see what others are doing, so we can see what we might be doing wrong, without realizing that this looking outwards has gone from being part of the survival solution to being part of the problem. But what are we missing in ourselves when we look outwards instead of inwards? And how can we balance the two? Now, I'm not saying we should only look inwards either. I'm not saying we should disconnect from life and those around us. Actually, disconnection is, though painful in some ways, sometimes the easier path it feels. But again, it misses the point. I've spent quite some time over the past 3 years in reflection and connection with myself. And without a doubt, it would be easier to live in a cave up a mountain than to connect with others. But I would be missing the point of life. To stand as who we authentically, uniquely are, expressing that in connection with others, is the point. To dance radiantly in the joy of sheerly being. So the trick, the balance, is between walking by yourself as who you are, expressing that which you are, and focused on your own chosen change, while still connecting with others without judging or holding them, nor taking on any judgment or holding of you that may come your way. And in that way, yes, we can still advise ourselves by looking to others, but we walk on our own bespoke path that we alone create, as, together, our paths weave the fabric, the matrix of life. We are all telling our stories, and we are all telling ourselves stories about it all. Are you brave enough to walk with me into hearing, considering, and understanding the stories we tell? Join me next time, where we'll be considering more stories and illusions and stepping into creating the freedom we desire. Every moment, we are who we are choosing to be. You choose. Choose you. Because your story matters.